Welcome everybody to the Area 111 live stream. This show Star H coming at you again from the beautiful sunshine state of Florida. Okay, the audio is working perfect tonight. On YouTube, stand by. I'm going to check Rumble real quick. Okay, I put short place card holder video over on Rumble, as you're required to do. Now, again, that's Norm Eisen, the former White House counsel for the Biden administration, basically calling. He's confident that he's going to eject President Trump from office. As I've said before, I do believe. Stand by. I do believe that's a military term for ejecting. Like the fighter pilots basically have to bail out. They eject. And they basically out of the aircraft, parachute down to safety. But that's not what Norm Eisen's talking about. He's just talking about ejecting him and nothing about safety whatsoever. And he'll be around to patch or to stitch up the damage that his party and its criminal thugs that he supports, in my opinion. He'll basically get him out of the jail-free card pass. You know what I mean? So these false flags, some of them are kind of obvious and some of them are not, depending on the video coverage. But with all the people out there, all these little independent journalists with a cell phone that can record video, we have so much more opportunities now than we did before the age of the new technology as far as cell phones are concerned. But I'm going to talk about Charlottesville, I believe it's called, and how they rode that donkey basically 1,000 feet deep. And it's obvious to me. I'm going to share some photographs. I believe it's called Charlottesville. They rode that, basically those of us that actually really looked into it and watched all the videos that were out there on social media, we came to the conclusion they set up a crime scene. Now, setting up a crime scene is basically obvious. That's what they did at Mar-a-Lago, and I'm going to show you some clues of the of setting up this crime scene at Charlottesville. Now, let me see. I think that what date was Charlottesville? I forgot what anybody here in the chat, either on Rumble or YouTube, can remember the date. I guess I could look it up. It'd help if RH could spell tonight. Charlottes. Remember David Duke and all that stuff. Well, many of us, majority of us, had never heard of David Duke and how they tried to basically associate the President Trump with David Duke and, the Proud Boys and everything. Not to say anything bad about those groups. They have a right to protest. I guess they were protesting to keep the some of the statues up, that kind of thing, where they're trying to wipe out our history, all history, wasn't just, the uh, old rebel generals like General General Lee or whatever. It was they want to wipe out all history. The socialist, communist, they want to wipe out all of our history because they're attempting to overthrow the United States of America. It's just plain and simple. It's obvious. It's very obvious. So I'll just call it riots so I can basically get to the article I'm looking for here real quick. Stand by if I do that. So of course they got about 10 people out there with a rebel flag, you know what I mean? And what we found out were those people coming in with the Nazi flags, the rebel flags, they were riding the same buses as Black Lives Matter. These were actors. Remember we found on Craigslist how they put out the advertisement to pay these people like $20 an hour, $30 an hour to basically act. And this is exactly what they were doing. Now, the main focus of that Charlottesville was basically trying to tie President Trump in with radical, fascist, Nazis. It's been the same theme. It's ridiculous. President Trump, if you look up the term for capitalism or free market system, Donald Trump's name should basically come up to the top of the list. He's not a fascist. He's not how many fascists and how many dictators or racists do you know that basically hires never mind. I mean, it's just he's not a misogynist. How many females, women does he hire, to work for him? How many black people does he hire? How many Hispanics does he hire? Of course, many, right? Especially down at Mar-a-Lago where they have the season and they have people coming in with the work visa to work the seasons, right? You think they're all Caucasians? Of course they're not. It's all ridiculous. It's all a facade, part of the psychological warfare operation they've been running against us for years. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Every time you turn on the TV, they're spouting off some other lie, some new lie, and they don't stop because trillions of dollars are at stake, are behind it, and they're buying off these people. Basically, a lot of them, they're just paid vigilantes. They show up wherever they're needed. Okay, Charlottesville, I caught. Okay, I was overseas for 17 years and 10 months. I won't go into any details of where I was stationed at, but anyways, I know a European. Europeans are basically easy to spot, and there was a lot of Europeans. I'll say from the other four eyes that were at the rally or the riots, if you will, or the protest, or it was a licensed rally for these people with the tiki torches or whatever to go basically protest to save the statues, whatever. They got a protest license or whatever, right? Permit, however you call it. Whether you like that or not, they did that legally, whether we like what they did or we don't like what they did, right? But anyways, it was called the Unite the Right Rally, right? So you're going to know there's going to be some agitators there. So they planned the agitation. Like I said, they put in advertisements in Craigslist for actors to show up that day and basically either carry a Nazi flag or a Black Lives Matter, wearing Black Lives Matter apparel or whatever. I have the photographs of this. Okay, the Unite the Right rally was a white supremacist rally that took place in Charlottesville, Virginia from August 11th to 2017. So President Trump was in office about 10 months, whatever, or never mind, 8 months or 7 months already. He was already in office. So remember that was when they had basically they were going all out to overthrow our president, right? And even having other Four Eyes involved in it, funding this stuff, marching and that kind of thing. So I'm going to give y'all a couple of clues here. So this is all biased. That wasn't all white supremacists that showed up for that rally. It's ridiculous. And like I said, there was a lot of people that were paid to be there, whether they answered the Craigslist basically advertisement for actors or not. They showed up, and buses showed up with actors on the same bus that carried a Nazi flag, the rebel flag, whatever you want to call it, or the Southern battle flag, or don't tread on me flags, and they were wearing Black Lives apparel as well. So now in the avatar photograph, if you can zoom in, now this the main focus I'd like y'all to have. Now these are my opinions. These are RH's opinions based on a lot of research. Well, I'm talking about hours and hours and hours and hours of research. And part of the reason why they deplatformed me on YouTube is because I was putting out this information and to let people use their own brain, whatever, using their own knowledge or intelligence to basically research it for themselves and go down that road and go, okay, are we being steered the wrong way? Yes. And many people, if you look today, are being steered the wrong way. Now, I'm going to focus mainly on Unite the Right rally, and I'm going to talk about the shooting that took place, which was called a self-defense shooting of a protester in Minnesota. Okay, I won't get into that much because it just happened. There wasn't an investigation, and basically, we don't want anybody killed like that. But, if you're obstructing, let me just say this to help people so they don't get themselves in trouble or get themselves killed. This is a law and order channel. I don't support any criminal violence whatsoever at all on this channel. I support national defense and self-defense. Everybody's got a right to defend themselves. Now, if you're out there obstructing law enforcement's duties, whatever, if it's a routine traffic stop or whatever, and the person basically gets violent and you want to step in and be the hero and try to help the person, listen, just follow the instructions of law enforcement. Just follow the instructions, and you might live another day to fight for yourself, for your own constitutional rights. Fight. And believe me, when you do it the right way, if it goes to court, for our civil court, whatever, you could be basically rewarded very handsomely or beautifully if you're a man or a woman, whatever, far as whatever the civil rights violation they had incurred on you if you are one of those individuals. But just do it. If they instruct you to do something, whether you think it's wrong, as long as it's not going to harm you, okay, follow their instructions. Don't get in a tussle with them. Don't get down on the ground and try to WWF, law enforcement individual while they're conducting their duties, whatever their duties are, until their operations, whatever. Don't do it. I'm pleading to everybody out there on both the right or left, whatever you decide yourself what camp you're in or whatever. So this is all the Unite the Right, Wikipedia. If you go there, everywhere you look about that rally is all negative, all right wing violence. And that's what they want to have that instilled in our head. They played that off. I think that was I'm not sure if it was George Floyd came before that or after that. Let me do a quick check real quick. So I know this is going to be a rehash for a lot of people. So when you type in George Floyd pops up like the fourth search result. Okay, he died in May 25th of 2020 during the 2020 elections, right? So now, what was cause of death? Now I'm pretty sure that the knee or lightly putting the knee on the throat, that definitely had bad optics, and the guy should have been held accountable. But for what I understand now, this is just RH. For what I looked at, he died mainly of fentanyl, an overdose of fentanyl. I think he had there was another drug. I think he had methamphetamines in the system too. He had a enlarged heart. Okay, there was other attributing factors to his death. Nobody wants to call for anybody to die like that. I don't. But remember, George Floyd refused to basically carry out the instructions of law enforcement. They must have asked him, pleaded with him like 20 times to get in the back of that police. It looks like a SUV, whatever, right? And he fought the police, or at least he was trying to struggle. He said he had claustrophobia. The majority of Americans in the world never even saw that at all. We never saw that. I believe from my understanding, the judge blocked a lot of discovery, and it was inadmissible to the hearing. So I think his name was Chavez. I can't remember the guy's name, the law enforcement individual, but they basically pleaded with him to get in the back of the police car. Listen, he could have gone to the police station. So 0 people here again. They're going to make sure of that, right? They're going to make sure that nobody sees the false flag, possible false flag information I have to share tonight. Now, I'm going to talk about this. I really didn't want to talk about George Floyd, but remember the Summer of Love riots and all that stuff. It's ridiculous. The violence, and these people are paid. I'm not saying George Floyd, right? And by the way, before George Floyd was basically pulled over or whatever, or basically apprehended, he went into it looked like a kiosk building. I don't know how many people watched the video, but he went into a kiosk building, and he's wanting to buy a pack of cigarettes. Hey, he's on video surveillance. There was a video camera focused on the register, right, where you can go and buy stuff, whatever. And you can see him on the video putting his hands in his pocket like about 15 times and pulling. And then you see somebody come in and hand him something. And I don't know if it was okay, I'll tell you what happened later. Now, later on, after he acted like he was geeking, and I don't mean to say anything bad about the man that died. Nobody wanted him to die, right? Yeah, I know about his background. For those that want to say, okay, well, his background, I know about his background. Okay. But he went to the other side of the register where they had the tobacco section where you can buy cigarettes, and he bought a pack of cigarettes and he gave the clerk, a $20 bill. Now, the clerk accepted the $20 bill, and after Floyd walked out, he raised the $20 bill up in the air. That's what the manager taught them to do if there's ever a Confederate bill passed. And if they didn't let the manager look at it before he basically rang it up, then the clerk would have to pay for it. Now, that clerk had to pay that $20 because it was a Confederate bill. Then the manager had him to try to go outside to get George Floyd to bring him back in to the kiosk or whatever it was. And I believe that's when they called the police. I guess they couldn't get him to come back in or whatever. I'm not really sure about all that because I didn't see all the hearing, and a lot of that was inadmissible in the hearing. They had a one track. The guy was going to be guilty no matter what the circumstance that led up to it, whatever. Even like passing over a $20 Confederate bill, okay? Counterfeit bill. Excuse me, not Confederate. So I saw that on video. I'm not going to go out there and lie because it doesn't match the basically the propaganda and the psychological warfare operation on the people. This was made, and they made it just like a movie company, right? They amped it all up like a movie company. And like I said, this goes out to everyone, whether you're law and order or not. I could care whether I'm not going to say what I was going to say, but about the ranchers. I'm not going to go into the Bundys and all that stuff. If individual law enforcement directs you to do something, as long as it's not going to risk your life, okay, and cause you harm, injury, or whatever. If they're just giving you basically instructions which are non-lethal and it's not going to hurt you, actually it's going to help maybe put you in protective custody until something's figured out what's going on. Follow their instructions and live to fight another day. Fight, 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 no matter who you are. Please listen to me. Don't let these people use you as cannon fodder, because they will. Believe me, if you play cards with the devil, you're going to end up probably getting burnt in the end. If the devil doesn't need you anymore, you're exposable. You got a expiration date on your back. So basically, watch out for this. Don't get caught up in it. You know, if you answer, for example, a Craigslist ad, or somebody basically approaches you and say, hey, we need some people to protest this day and give you money, whatever, watch out. I'm telling you, watch out. You can't trust anybody. Remember, trust but verify everyone. Okay, so I'm going back to make sure we're still live here. Okay, we're still live. See, they're waiting on this channel to basically screw up so they can take me down again, right? And remember, these are my opinions. These are my opinions. And remember, I'm saying trust but verify, whether you're on the left, the right, the center, whatever you identify yourself as. Trust but verify. If you trust your own people, you still have to verify what they're doing. Because it could basically cause a very, very huge tidal wave, and you don't want to be in that tidal wave. Believe me. You don't want to be in it. You don't want to be in that storm. And we're not talking about Stephanie Clifford either. You don't want to be in that storm. Oh, Operative Desert, stormy. Wow. I wonder where they got that term from. She was a politician wannabe, a supporter of Hillary Clinton. She tried to get on the ballot of the senatorial seat in Louisiana, the U.S. Senate seat in Louisiana. How many people? That's what I'm talking about. Nobody even has the background of all this stuff that they believe. And they go out there and they risk their lives and basically march on stuff they don't even know what they're marching for. And a lot of people have gotten themselves, just because they're victims of circumstance, to get caught up in what ends up being a riot, they end up getting injured. And they don't even know what they're out there for. Or they've been lied to. One viewer. Still throttling this channel back. There's nothing new. They're still throttling this channel back. On both Rumble, I hate to say it, and YouTube. Still throttling us back. That's how they win. By suppressing our voice. Because they know what I say is the truth. And if I make a mistake, I'll go out there and correct it. Now, pay very close attention to that avatar photograph. I'm going to start going through. This is Charlottesville. This is where they basically blocked off the end of the street where the challenger came in, and he couldn't basically, he only had one way to go. And that's through the stage that they had set up. They had fake medics and everything. That basically backpack next to the Black Lives Matter guy to get that photo shoot, right? That's what they're doing. They're conducting a movie scene. Okay? Where they ran through it. Remember, they were hitting his car and all that stuff. He's probably really proud of that. I think it was a 2015 Dodge Challenger. I can't remember what year it was. That's immaterial. But the story of it is he hit a girl, right? A lady, and she died on the sidewalk. So let me just ask. Now, I don't know the background behind that. As far as the funeral, I wasn't there, right? I wasn't there, but right after that stage was successful, and right, let me say, before he plowed into the crowd, I viewed a video of his brake lights. It was a video that was taken from behind his car before he ran into the crowd. I have a video I viewed probably 100 times. There was multiple videos from different aspects that shows his brake lights going on. Because remember, he had to hit his brakes one way or the other, either before the crowd or whatever, because they blocked off the street. There was a maroonish looking minivan parked at blocking the street, the exit, and there was a white car that parked behind the minivan. So I believe blocking both lanes in and out. I'm not sure if it might have been a one-way street. So that minivan was blocking where he could not basically get out. Okay, so now, is that person still in prison? I don't know, right? I don't know. Now, this backpack you see, now this is a person at the scene. There was an individual screaming, medic, 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 screaming at the top of his voice. Along with the medic calls, he was basically screaming, somebody call an ambulance. Somebody call an, and they shushed him. They went back to basically, no, you got to call for a medic. We have medics here, right? This is one of those fake medics, right? With a black backpack with red mode tape to look like Red Cross. Okay? That's who responded to the scene. So now, as far as them looking over and giving her CPR, I don't know. I was not there. Okay, so let's just go with the story's true. So you had this shirt, that message out there for Black Lives Matter, okay? And then you had the calls for a medic. So they totally controlled the movie set that they set up, or the stage. The stage was that road. They blocked off the road, make sure nobody could go in or out. And it's almost like they funneled that Challenger to come in, or he was part of it. Is that guy still in prison or what? Was the guy still in prison or what? Okay, so now I'm going to switch out the avatar videos, not videos, photographs. Remember, let me go back to the next one. Now, let me see here to go back to YouTube. I'm going to share you the photographs of the directors actually on the scene. Directors, actually directors. They're wearing neon vests. And they have a what do you call those, megaphones? Okay, hold on. So Rumble, you see that photograph on Rumble, right? That's another medic they had there with a red duct tape. Now remember, this is like an intel operation, in my opinion. They had people from the other eyes there, in my opinion, based on their dialect. And I know that dialect very, very good. Very, very good. Okay, so I'm going to share the next one. Pardon me, because I got to go through quite a few media um, photographs to get to the one I need. I will share the pictures, a couple of pictures of the directors on the scene, one right at the scene. They're given instructions. I'll give you the photograph. Now, goes back to Charlottesville. This is a false flag, in my opinion. And they look how far they rode that. Trump is a racist and all the bullshit and all the lies that they basically keep on to this day. And they go out there like we're a bunch of fools and we don't understand. It's a facade, part of the psychological warfare operation. Okay. When I get them all over to the right place, I can start sharing them one at a time and go through them again. Now, I know there's probably people on other channels that have shared this many times before, so bear with me. We can get to Minnesota after this because this is basically shows, in my opinion, beyond a reasonable doubt, Charlottesville was basically a left-wing operation, basically part of the overthrow of Trump or the attempted overthrow of Trump. Okay, might have went too far. I have a lot of stuff in China too, where they show a subway where people are riding a subway without mask. Stand by. Bear with me. I'm trying to find that photograph. The other medic. So I'm looking for this photograph. What are we taught as far as if we come, for example, on a accident, scene of an accident? What are you supposed to call? Are you supposed to just scream out medic? Or what are you supposed to do as far as when you're trying to render care or for the individual that is in an accident? You're supposed to direct somebody to call 911, right? What do you want? You want an ambulance. Do you want a medic? It's like it's just like a movie set, right? Medic, 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 like a war scene, right? That's what they played. These people are experts in setting up these, you know, false flags. They're experts at it. So you have to be very keen to recognize, okay, what is a false flag and what's real. And like I said, I'm going to get into Minnesota, which I believe it possibly could be a false flag, and I'll give you all the reason why. Now, as far as what happens when they basically cremate people like crooks? They destroy the evidence, right? Maybe they were going to go in, the family wanted to look for psychotropic drugs or whatever, or, if there's doing autopsy order by federal officials, to work it out with their next of kin. But, I don't think that they perform a proper autopsy of crooks. And once destroying evidence is basically, if they knew there was evidence there, like psychotropic drugs or something like that, will compel him to do something he wouldn't normally do, right? Um, Drugs do that. Some type of drugs, and we're warned about that in the military. You know, you'll do things like, for example, being drunk or something like that, or drinking too much alcohol. You could do some things that you normally wouldn't do if you wasn't like drunk or whatever. I mean, that's just a commonsensical statement to make. Nothing that you have to be like a rocket scientist to figure out. Okay, so stand by. I'm getting close. And I'll go back through these photographs again in order. I'm trying to get them in order. That's what I'm trying to do now. And remember October 17th when I'm looking for that photograph, the other photographs again? Remember October 17, 2019, CNN put out that Moody study? It's actually an article. CNN put out an article October 17, 2019, titled Democrats Need to Sharpen Their Attacks on the Trump Economy, right? Okay, so the very next day, they told us how they're going to do it. Event 201 Global Pandemic Exercise based on the new coronavirus. Okay, so we know that. Okay, look what they're doing now. Right before we went to Davos, right? The stock exchange dropped what, 800 points? Did they manipulate it? Well, look at all the people that hate Trump over there in Davos, right? Now, man, what world? Hold on a second. Should have found that already by now. Stand by. Okay. Now this is the stage they set at the end of the road in Charlottesville. I want you to look at that. That's the other medic. Now, if you look closely, hey Daniel, good to see you. Camo Carl, great to see you, brother. Um, yeah, so check out that avatar. Now it should be popping up on your screen now. I got to fast forward or refresh the YouTube live stream real quick. Wow. So that first avatar photograph was another medic. This was the other one. Now, if you can see that avatar photograph, you might be able to see it better on Rumble. But you see a fellow standing like a statue to over her back right shoulder. The guy looks like No Name there with that little hat and the blue shirt, buffed out dude. He's just sitting there watching, like just standing there, right? Now this was after the guy so-called plowed into the crowd, right? Remember, they had nowhere to go. They were hitting his car with rocks or whatever. He had nowhere to go. And before he hit the crowd, before he'd have slammed into that white car that blocked the road at the end of the road, I think that was a one-way road going out. And they were screaming for medic, medic, medic. The guy's screaming for medic, right? He basically started saying, "Someone call the ambulance. Someone call the ambulance." They shushed him. And then he continued on shouting, "Medic, medic, medic." Again, that threw up a lot of red flags for RH. Remember what we're talking about here again. This is Charlottesville, okay? So for those that came in while I was looking for that photograph, apologize. I didn't see you come in. Now I'm gonna find the guy. I did have the video of the guy shouting medic, 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 or at least I watched the video so many times. I knew what was going on. They wanted to control the stage, and that's what directors do. And I got two pictures of two directors. I believe they're two different people, and they're wearing a green vest. They got a megaphone. They're carrying a clipboard around with them, right? Okay, so the next avatar photograph, stand by. The guy screaming medic. He was at the end of the road. He comes screaming, running down the street, screaming, medic, 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 right? He didn't go to where they were performing CPR on the woman that got hit by that Challenger. Remember that? Remember the topic of tonight's live stream? False flags. What we believe could be false flags, or portion of these events could be false flags to lead up to violence or whatever to happen. Okay, so now I'm going to get the photograph that right here. Okay. This is the guy right here that was shouting, medic, 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 is top of his lungs, right? So top of his lungs. And then he started screaming, somebody call an ambulance. Ambulance, come on, somebody get an ambulance. And they shushed him. He went back to medic, medic, medic. Remember the two previous photographs I showed you of fake medics. So they can basically control the entire movie scene, movie set. They wanted their own to go in there. Right? Okay, so now I'm going to provide the photograph of the two directors. I'm going to delete a couple of photographs I don't need to see anymore. Or okay, stand by. Don't need. I think people already got gist of the Dracula Castle in Transylvania. I think that's Romania. You know who's the heir of the Dracul, the son of the dragon, right? He's proud. He's proud of that. Whatever. Okay, Vlad the Impaler, right? It's not a very good photograph, the one I just picked, so I'm going to go back through them again. Okay, all these directors came in to that movie set at the end of that road where they had set up for the block the traffic, basically, and they had people that were very acrobatic, basically avoiding. Now, there's one of those individuals. That's at the end of the road there, and what you see is, hold on a second. Let me go to Rumble because I can zoom in on Rumble. I can't. I don't think I can in YouTube. Nope, can't do it. Okay, so they're wearing neon green, the directors, and you see, I'm pretty sure it's a lady and she's carrying a clipboard, right? And probably in the other hand, she's carrying a megaphone. Now that's not the one I want. Okay, so stand by. I'm gonna have to refresh Rumble real quick. Man, this is ridiculous. have to refresh Rumble. Stand by so I can zoom in on the photograph. See, there's the white car. That white car, that's at the end of the road where it's bottlenecked. They blocked off any traffic from leaving that area. Look at the sidewalks, and you'll see the directors. There's multiple directors. Now, each director might have a different, um, different area, and those were either quadroned off, right, to set people to come into that stage and block people to prevent people from coming in that wasn't part of the false flag. Again, if you're just now coming into watching this, this is Charlottesville, North Carolina, the false flag operation. I believe was a false flag. Okay, so remember again, they're bringing in the David Duke type people with a Nazi flags and rebel flags and all that, or the battlefield flag, the Confederate battlefield flag, whatever you want to call it, right? So on the same buses, they were bringing in those that answered the Craigslist ads to basically play as an actor or actress. They were brought in, and these directors are the ones that basically the supervisors beneath the directors were following the directors' orders to basically put these people and give them a job and basically pay them, I don't know, either in advance, gave them part of their money and said if they finished it, they would basically get more money after it was over. Okay, so I'm going to the next one now again. The next director. Gotta make room. Some pictures I don't want to take down. So moving on to the next director photograph. here's the main, this is the main director here. So law enforcement was there, right? I got a snapshot of the actual director, okay, of that movie set there in Charlottesville. This is the one right here I was looking for. And there's others too, believe me. And there's videos out there as well. Unless they, bad apples in law enforcement confiscated the videos. I have to, oh, golly, this is ridiculous. Refresh YouTube, Rumble again, so I can zoom in on the avatar photographs. Now pay very close attention. You can see it better on Rumble. Okay. And you might be able to do that if you're on a PC, desktop, or whatever, laptop. You might be able to zoom in on the avatar photographs on YouTube and Rumble. The lady with the white hat with the glasses, with a clipboard in her hand. She was a director, remaining all calm when all this is going on. Supposedly the car, yeah, I didn't see the car actually strike the woman, so I can't tell you. Remember, trust but verify everyone. I don't care who it is. Trust but verify everyone. If you're investigating a possible death by vehicle manslaughter or whatever, you know, you have to do a very thorough investigation. You have to find those people that were involved in CPR. You have to find these people that were out there directing this operation. Now, the neon green vest that person behind the director is wearing, that's that's law enforcement individual. Now, I didn't look at his uniform close enough to see if that he was actually wearing a correct law enforcement uniform. And this is a good time for transition. This is what I'm talking about as far as Minnesota now. We're going to transition out. Okay. I watched the video of the individual they claim was shot. Now, I didn't see it. RH didn't see the guy. I didn't see the wounds to the guy or anything, right? And they put out the name, right? Let me go in and find the name. He was like a nurse, right, at the VA. I think a VA. I think he was a ICU nurse or something like that, or I'm not sure exactly what his position was, but Minnesota. Two ends. Now, what I really dislike about this, if the guy, I wasn't there. So let's say, remember, even the suspect that shot him or whoever shot him, he's a suspect or whatever, right? I wasn't there. What I dislike about this is Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, using politics to basically improve his position to get back up and basically even create more violence. He's calling for more people out on the street in Minnesota. He's basically ringing the bell for his own self-preservation, in my opinion. That's my opinion. And I'm allowed to have my opinion. They should be calling for an official, thorough investigation to see exactly what happened. Okay? Not based off a hearsay or a scarce video with only a few seconds of coverage where you can't actually see. Now you see actors, right? There could be actors. What do actors wear? Okay, what happened in Charlottesville? They had actors playing medics, right? Now I bet you if we look up those actors playing medic, we'll find out they were really actors. They're not even medic. They might be able to perform self-aid buddy care or whatever, like a military person's trained in. But other than that, you have to, when you have an accident like that involving a vehicle or anything, you don't call for a medic. You call for first responders. You call 911 saying, okay, somebody's hit by a car, they're injured, they're not moving, whatever. And you try to basically give the information what the person looks like, about how old that person is, male or female, whatever. And, like identification features like the color, racial makeup or whatever, color of the person's skin, whatever, so they can basically start putting it in the information, right? So they can come into the scene and they can basically, what is the individual wearing? Where's the individual laying out? Okay, he's on the sidewalk, off the road, a one-way street, whatever. I think it was a one-way street. Could have been a two-way, but it was blocked off at the end, remember, by the minivan. So that movie scene was set up, I mean, professionally. Now, when I saw, there's some things that didn't make any sense. There's a guy wrestling that individual down on the ground, and it looks like a guy came in a uniform, like a tactical uniform. We don't know if that individual that wrestled that guy down on the ground was actually from ICE or not. They could remember, actors wear uniforms. When they're playing a part, they wear uniforms. If you're paying for an actor to play a part, like in Charlottesville, that could have been anybody. Now, remember when they set up the fraudulent crime scene at Mar-a-Lago? They set up a crime scene at Mar-a-Lago. Remember? And they had those people come in to raid Melania Trump's dessous drawer and the Trump's personal belongings, even Barron Trump, of all people. When they came in there, they were directed, basically they had authorization if there was an engagement to use lethal force. Okay? On the former president of the United States of America. They knew he isn't some terrorist fugitive. We know it was all political. They're going to let Jack Smith go. They're going to let Jack Smith go. That guy should be behind bars right now for what he did. He knew it was all a scam based on his history of malicious prosecution. That guy should be sitting in the prison cell right now. And it's a lot worse what he did to Trump. It's unbelievable. And those individuals involved in that military-like assault operation on Mar-a-Lago, they were basically authorized to use lethal force. Now, they said, oh, that's just standard procedure. That's BS. And every man and woman that served in the military that has done these type of operations knows for 100% that's BS. Remember, they they modified his TFR for assault operation to conduct that operation. And they basically they had the people involved in that operation come in without wearing any identification. See, they're all whining about ICE, right? Having face masks. They came in to Mar-a-Lago with no uniform type insignia, whatever, or like FBI written on their jacket or whatever. No badges, whatever. And they concealed their weapons. They were told to wear like a normal polo shirt, a collared shirt, or a golf shirt, right? That's as illegal as hell what they did. And, if that happened to a Democrat, could you imagine if it happened to Obama? All these people would be in prison right now. Are you listening to me, Attorney General Pam Bondi? No, I liked you. I supported you even when you're back in Florida, right? But time has come where we need a change because time is ticking. Sorry, we've already been in this a year. And the more these murderers and whatever, these psychopaths and these people with that so much hatred and Trump derangement syndrome, TDS, whatever, they're walking our streets as free men and women. Especially if they're the ones that help facilitate and direct an invasion into our country. The Russia stuff and all that. That's low-hanging fruit. Those people should have already been put in prison. Oh, we want to make sure we have a foolproof case, right? You let Comey's statute of limitations run out, didn't you? And somebody brought it to Trump's attention, and he wrote a couple of things in True Social, whatever, a couple tweets or whatever, and they got on the ball, but look what they did with that. They botched that too as well. I mean, this is ridiculous. These people are complicit or accessories to mass murder in our country by facilitating and directing an invasion in our country. I don't care if you believe, okay, we need more cheap labor or whatever to keep inflation down or whatever your motives are, or you need to basically have more voters so they can take over total control, communist control over our government. If you're for that, that's your own prerogative. That's your own problem. Every communist country basically has ended up failing one way or the other. And they're not too big to fail. You know what I mean? So 0 viewers on the live stream. 0. 0 viewers because it was the title. They don't want you to hear what I have to say. They don't want you to hear it. Now, if I'm wrong on any of this stuff in Minnesota, okay, and that ICE guy did shoot that individual, if it was self-defense, the guy pulled a gun on him, yeah, he had every right. He was obstructing an operation from what I saw. He was trying to obstruct them arresting somebody they were going after. Probably another person trying to block one of their vehicles, impeding their right away, whatever, what do you call it, right to a passage to basically do their job. There's stuff I don't believe in either. I don't believe blocking off a bridge or whatever, or blocking off a major interstate just so you can protest your little signs, throw your little signs out there for everybody to hear, so you can get them and start terrifying people in the cars. That's illegal as hell. I don't care. You need to be arrested, and there needs to be amped up crimes for that stuff. People don't want to be involved. They're just trying to make a living, every day to try to put food and drinks or whatever, water on their plates, on tables for their families and pay their bills and stuff like that. A lot of people are basically living paycheck to paycheck. So let me see the name. Now, of all people, Waltz, right? Waltz, the guy that put tampons in men's or boys' bathrooms. Can you believe it? This is the guy you got to listen to in Minnesota? That's who you're proud of? That's who you allowed them to select? We need to know exactly who was it, if there was a gun actually fired and it wasn't blanks or whatever, and that wasn't a crime scene that they staged. You need to find that guy that supposedly pulled the trigger and see if he's actually an ICE agent or he wasn't an actor, okay? Like in Charlottesville. So they're saying after Border Patrol, yeah, allow ICE agents to do their job. Right. And that's one of the prime responsibilities of the President of the United States. And he's got a responsibility to undo that invasion, that criminal invasion that they allowed, they facilitated and directed in our country. They are complicit. Whoever facilitated and directed, I don't care if he's Mayorkas or whoever. I don't care if they gave him a pardon. Treason is, I don't think you can basically be pardoned from treason. I don't believe so. I could be wrong. That's treason. You allow invasion in our country with like 20 million people. Majority, a lot of them you didn't even vet. No murderers, rapists, pedophiles, traffickers in drugs, human organ traffickers. You name it, the worst of the worst you can even imagine. Child traffickers, sex traffickers, weapons traffickers, you name it. They allowed to come in our country for 4 years. They turned a blind eye to it. Heck, independent journalists, like freelance journalists, they could even go down to the border. I know major influencers that live in recall that in Texas, right there on the border. Stand by. Hold on a second. Wow, they shut my Rumble down. Looks like Rumble is shut down. Okay, let me refresh YouTube. Apologize for that. I have to refresh YouTube real quick. Do a volume check again. Testing 1, 2. Okay, YouTube is still up. So, yes, and looking at that video I saw of the alleged shooting of the 37-year-old man who's a nurse, right? Now they have other pictures. Mainstream media is putting out other pictures that doesn't even look like the guy that's a nurse in the VA hospital or whatever. I think he's a urgent care VA hospital nurse. I'm not sure, but he was a nurse. Okay. He was interfering, from what I saw, trying to block ICE guys from going in or making arrests of somebody, obstructing safe passage of the ICE operatives when they were trying to move out of that area. They probably had somebody in the van or whatever they had that they were standing in front of. And there was a wrestling. They started to wrestle with that guy, the 37-year-old nurse, on the sidewalk, right? And then another ICE guy came in, and it looked like he was showing like he was punching the 37-year-old guy on the ground, but they are just trying to basically apprehend him, right? And he wasn't following instructions of the ICE agents. Again, if you're ever in that situation and law enforcement is instructing you to do something, right, before it gets out of hand, follow their instructions. Even if they take you in, right, you can win your lawsuit and you'll have another day to fight, right? You have another day to, you have a day to, you have, you live. You have another day to fight. You live, right? You can basically file a civil lawsuit if it's, basically, they broke your rights, whatever. Oh, I got a right to protest. You got a right to do this or that, but you can't impede an ongoing operation that's being handled by law enforcement. I think that's reasonable for everybody to understand. So you think about it, for 4 years, pretty much nobody tried to impede except for only a few border patrol individuals and a few other individuals. They were trying to impede that invasion. But basically, how are you going to impede invasion when they take the money that was congressionally allocated, constitutionally allocated by Congress to finish up the border wall, and you basically redirect those funds to environmental restoration? What happened to that lady, the GSA supervisor? Who was behind that? Basically stealing congressionally allocated funds to help finish building that border. Remember, and all the border wall material, they sold it as government surplus, I heard, and they welded open the gates on the wall. How, trying to impede law enforcement's ability to keep our country safe from people coming in, really bad people coming in. And the Democrat Party, for pretty much a whole, was behind it. They were behind it, and they were blocking. They were running psychological warfare operations. Remember, AOC standing in front of a fence and playing that acting job herself. I wonder how much money she got for that acting job. It was all a facade, a fake facade. Okay, a facade. We're sick of this stuff. So now it's blocked where you can't really see who shot the person on the ground. So are they going to cremate that person right away so there can't be a proper autopsy done? Are they going to bring in one of their own political, what do you call those? The people that come in and declare the person dead or whatever. What do you call those people? I can't remember right now, but yeah, they're going to get one of their own again, like in Dallas. What do you call those guys that come in whenever there's a reported death, right? They have to have somebody that actually officially declares them dead, right? So they bring in one of their own covert operatives. He died by this, he died by that. Did they basically cremate? Will they cremate his body so they can't get his DNA? So you can't actually match up to that individual they claim it is? Claim the suspect is? Will they do the same thing as they did to Crooks? I don't know. Remember how they were out there pressure washing that DNA off the roof of the American Glass Research Company building? Remember that? The sloped roof? Remember that? And whenever you're faking, like you're acting like you're punching somebody, a lot of times that's just an act, right? It's just an act. They're not actually making physical contact. So that was obscured. That video was obscured at that point. And that's the video they put out there. Then you hear the shots fire. Pang, 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 pang. Right? The guy's on the ground. The guy backed up. I guess that may have been where he pulled out the 9mm and pointed in the direction of ICE, agents, and they shot him. He was resisting arrest, right? He wasn't complying to the instructions of law enforcement. And if he did try to pull out a weapon, right? Yeah, he was licensed to carry that 9mm, they said, right? So, licensed carrier. So they're going to use that to basically to attack the Second Amendment again, I guess. It's a shame we even have to worry about even having self-protection like that. You know what I mean? It's a shame that you have to, that this country's gone to that. And our president, give him credit, he's trying to do everything he can to stop it, to make it where it's safe to go to restaurants like in Washington, D.C., make it where it's safe to actually walk down the street at night or daytime even. I mean, look at all the deaths and murders in Chicago that goes on. What about now? Have they clamped down on all that crime in Chicago? I don't know. I don't think so. They brought in 20 million people you can't even vet, right? And they're basically saying the president doesn't have the right or the constitutional duty to basically reverse the invasion and the foreign military and terrorist insurgency into our country. Are they that stupid that they don't realize that's Article 4, Section 4 responsibility of the president of the United States to undo the invasion? Okay, so it's like the same thing. Bringing in a 20 million man and woman army. Let's say man, woman, and child army. 20 million. And you allow a foreign army to stay in our country? I wish it didn't have to come to this. But they're going to overthrow our entire United States of America. They're not just after President Trump. They're going to make sure that nobody else with independence or sovereignty in their mind, whether it's be right to own property and that kind of thing, and right to be our economy sovereign, not being controlled by bureaucrats in other countries and basically charging us trillions of dollars of interest on their own money that we print, which is unconstitutional in my opinion. So Denmark wants to sell all their treasuries, right? $100 million in U.S. treasuries, because they're angry about the Greenland deal. Come on. Do you realize, okay, the Prime Minister of Greenland, do you realize you've been put in place? You're a subject under the crown, the Danish kingdom. You don't even realize you don't even have your sovereignty in Greenland? Do you not understand that? Do we not understand what the 250-year anniversary is all about? The golden age of American silver, going all the way back to Paul Revere. We don't realize what all that's about, what our president's talking about, and what they're trying to lead us back to, our complete sovereignty, financial and national sovereignty and state sovereignty. How do you have sovereignty in your state, like in Minnesota, where they brought in an invasion and so selected to basically play a part in our elections and rig them. You think that's sovereign? You should have a right to vote for whoever you want to vote for. And those people like Walz, I mean, who in the right mind would elect that guy to governor if what they're saying is he actually was behind putting tampons in boys' bathrooms? I mean, how immoral is that? How disgusting is that? So they have to show their loyalty, right? They have to show their loyalty to Satan. That's basically what it, or if you don't believe in Satan, they have to show their loyalty to evil before they're selected. And that's what these people do. That's what Barack Obama did in 2008. Okay? That's what he did. His whole life was groomed. He was groomed in Hyde Park in the dining room of Bill Ayers. Remember, Bill Ayers, the same guy who put out a Communist Manifesto, planned to have it released at dark 30 at the newspaper stands in New York, okay, before the first plane hit the tower. You know what the title of his Communist Manifesto is? No Regrets for the Love of Explosives, memoir of sorts. Anybody can go read that right now and match up Barack Obama's social, domestic, and foreign policy with that Communist Manifesto. By the way, that Communist Manifesto was put out, whether it's coincidence or not, the 30-year anniversary of the death of the Ukrainian Nikita Khrushchev, the communist guy, right? The anti-fascist guy, right? I don't know if he's anti-fascist or not, but Stalin was the premier of the Soviet Union at the time, I guess, of World War II, right? So, anyways, yeah, doesn't this all ring a bell? The 30th year anniversary of the Ukrainian. He was born in Ukraine. Nikita Khrushchev. Remember the Cuban Missile Crisis? We nearly got in a nuclear holocaust. You got those itchy fingers about ready to hit those red buttons, right? Oh, my button's bigger than your button. My button's bigger than yours. Right? I mean, it's like we're going back to the cavemen and cavewoman days where you got the clubs, right? But now they got this advanced technology they can use. It's like cavemen and cavewomen with the advanced technology. Remember before that special military operation, or whenever Russia invaded into Ukraine, before that, remember what Zelensky said? He was calling for the West to basically conduct a preemptive nuclear strike on Russia. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Debased psychopaths. Instead of basically figuring out, okay, working with them and working out a two-party solution between Ukraine and Russia. Okay, what's the deal here? What do you want? Okay, you're going to have to give or take, you know what I mean? For example, Crimea. Crimea's been in possession of Russia for like over 240 years. During World War II, the Allies helped Russia reattain Sevastopol in the Black Sea Fleet port in Crimea. We helped them recapture Crimea. Yeah, the United States of America, the United Kingdom, Russia helped. Well, they helped themselves to reacquire. You go all the way back to Russian Christian Empress Catherine the Great, and that's not propaganda. It's true history. You know, the Ottoman Turks and the Russo-Ottoman Turk War. Remember that? Remember the Armenian genocide? Remember what happened to over 100,000 Christians who died a very, very, very graphic, ugly death? They were murdered by the thousands. We don't remember the history? Man. Yeah, I don't like what do you call it? Uh some of the violence that's going on, and you know, self-defense, sometimes you have to be violent to basically defend yourselves. Or these maniacs will actually, they don't care. They don't believe there's God out there. They don't believe in God. They don't believe anything greater than themselves. Right? They think their whole part of life is to collect as many chips as they can get, right? As many chips as they can. And when their time comes, okay, they lose their chips. Like you're looking at a casino like type deal, right? They don't believe in anything. And these people, they'll do anything for money. Or, you know, they're threatened. They're threatening to doing stuff, right? They maybe got caught, they got something on them, right? And they'll do basically anything to keep themselves out of prison. But I keep saying this, you play hands with the devil, you're going to get burnt in the end. One viewer, they sure as heck didn't want this to get out there tonight. So that means that the censorship is still going on full speed ahead. And right before the midterms are getting ready, what do you think they got the AI already programmed to do? The algorithms already. It's all already, anytime they talk about Trump, it's the economy or anything, it's all negative. Over 90% negative. It's ridiculous. I can't even stomach it anymore. Silicon Valley, remember Obama going over there, I think it was during his first or second term, out of the 3 terms so Biden was in office, right? He went over there to Silicon Valley and they helped set up the net neutral, the BS, their propaganda, right? They altered the Smith-Munn Act and legalized our media to basically read the Mockingbird media scripts. You can't make this stuff up, and nobody in Congress is fighting against that. That no, and they keep on saying, well, the electrical problem they had in Air Force One, that was just a routine type of normal type of thing going on, right? Oh, the lights flickered or something like that. Well, it's kind of funny because there's somebody I'm trying to help out. He had something like his breaker boxes just went on the fritz, right? That was like the day before or the same day in that morning or whatever it was. So they have to declare emergency, you know, to RTB, right, to Joint Base Andrews, right? They have to put the stuff in place. I don't know if it was under, then Air Force One needs to be under escort. So hopefully they're escorting that plane wherever the president goes. And in my opinion, they need to delegate more authority, or delegate him to take off some of that load of President Trump, because I mean he don't need to be in these snake pits, whatever. He doesn't need to be going in these snake pits.
with all the technology we have with video teleconferencing and all that kind of thing, you can have a conference or a meeting online and you're not jeopardizing anybody's lives. You know what I mean? In that situation, get people that get tired that come from all over the world, whatever, to be physically at a meeting. I don't know. Some of the stuff might have to, when they sign a deal, they might actually have to be there. The president might have to sign certain things. So I can understand in certain situations you need the president there, but a lot of that stuff, they can send delegations back and forth and bring the whatever, the contract or the treaty or whatever they're about to sign, bring it to the president wherever he's at. And it I don't like what I'm seeing and I don't like what I'm hearing. Remember, I think that isn't the first time since Trump has been in office in 2 terms, and even when he's out of office campaigning, that there wasn't some type of uh, uh, declaration of emergency. So when you have an emergency, you got to return to base no matter what the reason is. It's either 7,500, you squawk at 7,500, that's for a hijack. 7,600, they squawk 7,600, that's radio out. For mechanical malfunctions, electrical malfunctions, or anything like that, that's under a general emergency, 7,700. So the Air Force One pilot has to basically select squawk 7,700. Okay, so I don't like what I'm seeing. And Air Force One is so meticulously gone through, and the required maintenance, it's basically, I think there's a backup. I don't know if there's two, maybe the JD Vance plane. It might be, yeah, it's Air Force Two, right? There's supposed to be, there's only one of each. So, anyways, I don't know what the black backup plane was, but remember in today's EFA. Oh, hold on a second. I got to find the right word for this. And we need to pray for our president. Please pray for our president, pray for our government, and pray for our country and the world, be honest with you. There's a lot of wars going on that I don't agree with, and it shouldn't be even going on right now. It's ridiculous. Let's see. Okay, I want to get the right information before I EMF with EMF technology. Okay, if this thing would respond. Yeah, Rumble just stopped. I mean, it just stopped. It went to a black screen, right? For no reason at all. Go back over there. It's probably down. Golly, what in the world? Okay, I'm going to go through a review with the avatar photographs to show what I believe is a false flag in Charlottesville. And a lot of people talked about this before me, so I'm not, well, not really before me, because when I started seeing this coming out, I was already searching the internet for other videos from the people that were there, right?
Now I know they're redundant. I know they are redundant. They're very redundant, which means they have security measures and alternates they can go to and that thing far as the equipment goes. So there's a place out there where you can find protection of EMF weapons or electronic field weapons. Okay, we're talking about the EMF that goes off in our airspace, right? So, that definitely negatively impact um, negatively impact the electronics aboard Air Force One. So, I'm not saying anything out there that's not already known by the professionals and believe they're a lot smarter than I am, but um, I don't know if they've basically hardened Air Force One against those type of weapons or not. So EMF weapons are a type of directed energy weapon that utilize electromagnetic energy to disrupt or damage electronic systems, which basically everything is electronic or electrical, right? All your electrical devices, whatever, electronic devices, including your navigation, everything, right? That could go haywire with an EMF strike. So, um, types. This includes high-powered joint electromagnetic non-kinetic strike weapon, which is designed for non-nuclear electromagnetic pulse attacks. Okay, I'll I'll talk about if you ever heard of like a like a if you've seen something like static looks like static on your television screen, uh, and there's an old vehicle outside in a proximity of where you're watching TV, for example, and they have the timings off on the car, on the motor or whatever, on the engine. You can see sometimes you'll see interference on your screen, right? And there's so many different ways. There's so many weapons out there. It's kind of terrifying if you think about it, especially if they get in the wrong hands. Then you got the directed energy weapons and all this stuff, right? All that technology. And like Norm Eisen said, like the place card holder video I shared on Rumble, Norm Eisen said they're pretty confident that Trump will be ejected from office. I do believe that Norm Eisen, who is former White House counsel, I think for the Biden administration, um, he's the one out there with all the lawfare going on, one of the main go-to people, and helps protect that side of the aisle. Basically, his political buddies that basically probably made him rich, right? Going after Trump. So, anyways, go back to YouTube real quick. Yeah. So they said that that electrical malfunction, it was just maybe a flickering of some lights in the cabin or whatever they said it was. It wasn't no big deal. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? But the if you normally you see your lights flickering like that, there's a surge somewhere, right? There's a surge. So knowing everything that's going on, especially you got all the media there, there's too much. I think they need to go through that media. They could have devices that aren't even cleared, right? cleared? Are they basically communicating with cleared like laptops or devices like notepads or any of that kind of thing that could put out some type of signal? We don't know, you know. I mean, trust but verify everyone, even when it comes to the president, whether we like that statement or not. It's in God we trust. Men and women, even President Trump, he could make a mistake, right? If nobody brings it to his attention, that could be a very, very, very dangerous mistake. So there's nothing wrong with verifying, trust but verify everyone. And you have to do some extreme vetting for these people, especially ones that maintain Air Force One. I'm not trying to be paranoid. I'm not trying to curse the president. No, just the opposite. That's why I ask for everybody's prayers. We all need prayers, right? To put a hedge of protection around all of us, our president, okay, our country, and the world, and stop all these wars. And we definitely need divine intervention like at Butler, right? I do believe that was divine intervention, whether people believe that or not, you know. Wow. The agent's finger was bitten off. This was live now from Fox on YouTube, right? It says 1 hour ago. Noam says agent's finger was bitten off following unrest in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Okay, so let's see what else is going on. U.S. levels Fordow and Natanz. Trump warns stop now or worse is U.S. bombs Iran. Oh, never mind. That's 7 months ago. Golly, what? Why is this like it's current? I'm looking for current news. I'm not looking for something that happened 7 months ago. But if they pose a threat, they'll be hit again. From my understanding, that I don't know how they did it with all the unrest going on in Iran. I was reading something or watching a video that Iranians, the current IRGC or whatever, basically conducted a successful ICBM test, and it basically hit somewhere in Russia, offshore off Russia, and Russia approved it. So I don't know if somebody can do some research on that, share the link or whatever. Whenever that happened, I don't know if it was successful or not, but from what I understand, that they already have a what do you call it? A ballistic missile that can basically be fitted with a nuclear warhead. So they already have that, but they're just basically they get an ICBM and they're able to strike the east coast of the United States. That's the article I read. Now that could be I didn't follow up on it. There's just one article. So I'm going next time I do a live stream. Before that, I'll do some more research on that, see if that's true. You know, those people, especially while they're threatening death to America, and Obama going in there and unlocking $150 billion for their pleasure, whatever they want to use it for, and then all the cash and pallets. We don't really even know how much cash he sent over there. And the reason why Obama sent it, in my opinion,
sent over foreign currencies, and so the U.S. Treasury could not track the currency that they sent over there. Okay. Why? That's hush money, in my opinion. I believe that hush money is partially responsible for hushing up about what really happened to bin Laden. Okay, going back to that, on December 26th of 2001, Fox News put out an article, Bin Laden already dead. On January 13th, I believe it is, of 2015, Fox News updated the same article, Bin Laden already dead. Now, why would they do that? Why would they update the same article if it was? And why do that after 2011 when supposedly Operation Neptune Spear, they killed Usama, USA Ma, in Pakistan and Abbottabad, that compound, right? Why did Fox News update the same article, Bin Laden already dead? If he died in December or somewhere around the end of 2001, he died then, right? They put out an article December 26th of 2001, Bin Laden already dead. And then Obama ran basically directed while he's out there playing golf, right? They brought him in his golf attire. It means he wasn't even running in our country. He's sitting there in the White House Situation Room in his golf attire, right next to Joe, right? So they watched him. No, they didn't watch him killing bin Laden because I believe they had a sim over live operation going on. They had a live feed going on in that CIA mock facility, bin Laden facility in North Carolina. And I believe that's what they saw. Okay. So anybody involved in that operation, whether it was the sim part of it or the live portion of it, if they revealed anything, they would be in Gitmo, right? They would be immediately arrested and go to Gitmo. Yeah, because we have live training exercises that are classified. You talk about those live training exercises, you go to Gitmo, or you go to what do you call that? Fort Leavenworth. You go to prison GI, and no pass go, no collect $200. You're going immediately to jail. So remember the guy that basically authorized the use of Mockingbird media propaganda to be read by our mainstream media? Remember they authored the Smith-Mundt and funded the PSYOPs operation against American people through the National Defense Authorization Act. How come none of that stuff is overturned yet? Because money, right? The love of money is the root of all evil. That's what it basically boils down to, in my opinion. Or the lust of power, which gives them more money. So let me go back to the live stream here. Yeah, I was just scrolling through what's going on right now. Go back to the channel here. Don't see anything. We had 4 people. I think that's the most people that was in here tonight. It's a Saturday night. Wow, it's already 11:44 p.m. I didn't notice that. But still, I used to have hundreds of viewers, thousands of viewers even after midnight.
So, anyways, now I'm going to go through these avatar photographs again. Again, I'm telling people, if you want to see them better, if you have a laptop or a PC or desktop or whatever, if you can zoom in on the avatar photographs, plus it's not good to go to the one on YouTube because they got that round. I wanted to get back to the square, you know what I mean? Portrait type look. And that's that circular photograph, cuts out a lot of stuff on the edges. So I don't like that. So I'm going to change out the avatars. That the subject of tonight's live stream is false flags. I'm going back to Charlottesville. Remember, they set up a movie set in Charlottesville that basically had something to do with that Dodge Challenger. I forgot the guy's name. Is he still even in prison yet? Was the guy paid off to basically pretend he ran over a lady? Because we had the video of him hitting the brake lights before that he went into that crowd, right? They had some stunt actors there, believe me. I saw a guy jump over and he left his shoe. He came out of his shoe by the truck. He basically did a somersault. What do you call that? Somersault over the hood of that truck. Unbelievable that guy didn't get injured. Okay, so starting with the first avatar, the medics, right? They're screaming for medics when that lady was supposedly hit. I didn't see her. She may have. My heart prayers goes out to her loved ones if she was, I mean. I didn't see it. Trust but verify everything. Remember that. Okay. Okay. The fake medics, right? That's kind of poor. That's kind of poor if you're trying to run a movie a stage, right? And you use red masking tape to pretend you're a medic. And like I said before, use your common sense in Charlottesville. I'm using that remember the Craigslist ads wanting actors? Remember that coming in on the same bus, Black Lives Matter, riding with people with Nazi flags and rebel flags or whatever, the Confederate war flag, whatever, fascist flags, whatever, they're all riding on the same bus. We have witnesses that can attest for it with their hand on the Bible, whatever, under oath. So there were actors there. And this photograph, I wanted to capture this. If you can zoom in on it, you'll see that Black Lives Matter. They're at the end of the road that was blocked off. I think it was a one-way street, blocked off. They had a minivan parked at the stop sign where nobody could go around it. And another white car parked right behind the minivan. Okay? So, anyways, and they were crying for medic. Now, I'm going to give you another picture of the medic they were crying for. Okay, this picture right here. Avatar photograph. Another medic, right? She's not where the person was supposedly hit up on the basically the sidewalk. They got directors that are keeping people out of that area because that's a closed movie set. Okay?
All right. You see that red cross on her shirt, her white t-shirt? That's red mope tape. That's not Red Cross. That's not medics, right? In my opinion. Okay. The guy that's screaming for medic, medic, medic. That's the next avatar photograph I'll share. And I saw all this on video multiple times, over probably about 100 times, multiple videos I viewed of the false flag at Charlottesville. Remember what their Mockingbird media script is? Trump is a Nazi. Trump is a fascist. Who's saying that? The Socialist Democrats, the Communist Democrats, however you want to call them. That's who's out there. This is where all this violence is originating from. Remember, when they were first going out there and being exposing themselves out there in public, they were walking around with a Chinese communist flag. Hammer and sickle, red flag, right? Okay, this guy right here in that pink, looks like a pink shirt. He's the one out there screaming at the top of his lungs, medic, medic, medic. And then he called for somebody call the ambulance, and they shushed him until he shut up about the ambulance. And he continued on screaming, medic, 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 right? So if you're ever involved in an accident like that, an automobile accident, what do? Do you call for a medic? Like you're on a war, you're on a movie set playing a part of a warrior or a military person? Do you call for a medic? Yeah, if you're in combat. Yeah, they're playing the wrong part. Okay, where's the director? Directors, plural. You got area directors at Charlottesville, right? This next one I'm showing you is an area director. Their area is to keep people out. Oh, you're blocking. You got to get there. Started screaming at anybody coming close to that woman on the sidewalk, screaming at them, get away, get away, get away. They were getting violent, shoving people out away from that lady, right? So who's providing her first aid? The medic. Was the individual even qualified? Was the lady even dead? That's the reason, in my opinion, the reason why they didn't want anybody to come close to that lady. They didn't want anybody to see her breathing or her moving, right? Until they got her out of there. Okay. You see that neon green? She's carrying what looks like a clipboard. I think she has a megaphone, right? What do you call those bullhorns? Okay, she's a lower level director or supervisor. Now I'm going to give you the actual director's photograph who staged that scene. See that white car? That white car was parked behind the maroonish looking minivan, who blocked off anybody going into that area, right? They're trying to get somebody to scare somebody, terrify them into basically trying to crash out of there. And you can't have that. You can't have, see that maroon minivan was staged there and parked there. They should have cleared that road. They should have cleared that road where they can turn right on that intersection. They blocked it off with that minivan. They didn't tell the lady to move the van. Then they parked this white van. Now, before that lady supposedly got hit by that Challenger, that minivan was already sitting there. So even if they tried to drive through very slowly and get out of there from that danger, he's being terrified. No, he's probably just trying to keep his car in one piece, right? I'm not justifying running over somebody, but You know, if you block the right of travel, right of travel, no, this should be against the law too, because that could affect safety, right? They couldn't get in the first responder if they had to, because they blocked off both sides of the road. So where's the main director? I remember I'm talking about Charlottesville. We're talking about red flags. What I believe was a red flag in Charlottesville to call Trump, you know, just like the Summer of Love and all that other stuff, going out there and attacking our government, duly elected government, and being successful. None of those people have been held accountable. Okay, here's the director right here, this avatar right here. You see her with the hat on, with the glasses. She's got the clipboard in her hand. She's got a megaphone. I think in the other one, I can't see it. I can't zoom in close enough to see it. So I might be able to do that over on Rumble real quick. But Rumble's really acting up and went to a black screen already on Rumble. So she's got the clipboard. Now you see that there's a law enforcement, what looks like a law enforcement officer behind her. He's got that green vest on. Now when you're set, if that's a movie stage, right? Or a movie set, remember what actors wear. Remember what the actors were wearing at J6. The ones that weren't Trump supporters. What were they wearing? They were wearing Trump stuff like Trump hats, MAGA hats, Trump T-shirts. Remember? To basically mingle in with the crowd, to be provocateurs, agent of provocateurs, right? So she's definitely right there behind her, over her right shoulder. That's where the sidewalk is, right? Where they got the lady, and it looks like they're blocking off that sidewalk. You see a guy, looks like he's praying or something, or, they're keeping anybody from going there. Like, get back, she needs air, get back, she needs air, get back, right? So they hauled her away. Did they do an autopsy? Did they bring in one of their own operatives to do the autopsy, whatever? What do they call that person that does, basically declares a person? Coroner. Yeah, did they bring in their own coroner? Did she even die? If I wasn't there, remember I say trust but verify. I'm not being stereotypical of anybody on the left or right or any. You got to verify everything nowadays, especially with this CGI and everything that's going on, AI and everything, right? You got to verify everything. There's a lot of questions I have about that shooting in Minneapolis. Things don't look right. It looks like it's staged, conveniently staged. Well, when you see that guy looks like he's throwing punches, an actor knows if it's being recorded from a certain angle, right? You can go in and act like you're punching somebody behind another individual. You can't see if those punches are actually landing or not, right? They probably were, but I don't know. Unless you were there and you're physically the victim or whatever, or you're right next to what and seeing exactly with your own eyes and hearing with your own ears what happened. That's the only way we know for sure. And you need to bring in all those people that were supposedly in ICE uniforms, because they could have put one of their own, just like J6, they put their own team even foreign operatives, they brought in. So, just like to remind people of Charlottesville. And you know what came out of that? Oh, Trump's a racist, he didn't stand back, stop, Proud Boys, whatever. What do you want me to say, right? It's so ridiculous, it's unbelievable. Well, you disannul or disavow Proud Boys, right? Well, you disavow Nazis, right-wing supremacists, right? Well, you disavow. How many times the guy got to disavow it? It's ridiculous. I mean, if it isn't, I mean, it's so obvious to me who these people are now, because you know their MO. Basically, before they even open their mouth, they're going to lie, or they're going to put out something from their Mockingbird Media script. I mean, it's getting horrible. Remember now who these people are. Remember, Democrats need to sharpen their attacks on the Trump economy. That's what they did in 2019. They put out that article, CNN put out that article, which is actually a Moody study from top-level economists, what they could do to take down the President of the United States and our duly elected government by attacking our economy, causing us to suffer, causing us to basically have a hard time trying to support our families or whatever. Take down our economy. Take out the independent mom and pop stores in favor of the global corporations. Right? They're doing the same thing, right? Don't we think that's okay, they have to find something to basically for the Dow Jones to basically drop 800 points, right? Right before Trump goes to Davos, Switzerland. They all joined together. I'd like to remind people why they created the European Union, and they gave up, all these European countries gave up their own sovereignty, even their own economic sovereignty, to bureaucrats. They created the European Union to compete economically against the United States, not for the United States. We are no longer subjects under the crown. For those people, the 57,000 Greenlanders, when you're saying you're going to keep your sovereignty from the United States of America, who is only there to help you regain your sovereignty from being subject to a crown, to a monarchy? Are you crazy? We've been allies working NORAD. We've been over there helping provide your national security since going back to 1950, where Denmark could not do it because they're a small country. They couldn't afford to do it. Who built a base in Thule, Greenland? Who built a base in Thule, Greenland? So you got people they don't want you to go in there. They're going to say, okay, Thule, that's basically that's where they dug the underground dumps, right? And that's where all the children are. I mean, not everything is going to be the way a lot of people think it is, right? But who was in charge, basically, of Thule, Greenland? the base. Remember that was became Air Force Space Command or Space Command, right? It used to be belonged to NORAD. That was part of the DEW line, early warning system, NORAD. And we've spent billions of dollars. In 2022, we just funded Greenlanders with $3.95 billion to basically modernize Thule, Greenland, to help out the infrastructure of Greenland, right? We just spent nearly $4 billion for the Greenlanders to advance their technology to help them monetarily wise. Where do they think all the interest on that basically foreign private banks is going to? Greenlanders. It's going to Europe. It's paying the pension plans of Europeans off the backs of hardworking American taxpayer dollars. That's why it's classified. That's why they can't even U.S. Congress can't even perform an audit. There's no oversight on these private Federal Reserve banks because we're paying their pensions. Remember, Biden came out and said we're going to start paying the retirement plans for the retirees in Ukraine. Oh, that's classified, right? Don't you think the American people need to know where our money's going? We don't have a need to know where our money's going? Okay. All right. I'm going to read something real quick. And this ties in with the golden age of American silver. Again, I'm going to talk about this again because this applies right now, what's going on. Now, you can Google search that all you want to. U.S. foreign aid, $4 billion to or $3.9 billion to Denmark to maintain Greenland, Thule, Greenland mainly, and to basically set up a protective force to help the Greenlanders protect their own country. For the love of God. See, that's all. They think they're laughing behind the scenes. What are you going to do about it, RH? We're already shadow banging. You only got one viewer right now. What are you going to do about it? Yeah, that Charlottesville is called the Unite the Right rally. That was to try to get them protesting against tearing down the statue of Robert E. Lee. And there were good people there that day. And there was a lot of actors. A lot of actors, and there were directors out there, and the whole 9 yards, right? Stand by. Okay, I'm going to click on this report. Bin Laden already dead. This was December 26th of 2001. That's the same time the Northern Alliance disbanded. Northern Alliance began in 1992, basically to take back over Kabul,
get rid of the Taliban and the Al Qaeda leaders in Afghanistan. That began in 1992. Okay, so now they updated. I was correct. They updated. Fox News updated that report. Bin Laden already dead, January 13th of 2015. You can go find that for yourself. That's a Fox News report online. It's still there to this day for anybody that wants to read. Read it for yourself. Okay. If you want to read the Communist Manifesto of Bill Ayers, the guy that mentored Barack Obama, and read some of Barack Obama's foreign, social, domestic, and foreign policies, you can read it in Bill Ayers' Communist Manifesto. It was planned to be released on September 11, 2001 at ODART 30 before the first planes hit the tower. Before the first plane hit the tower. Okay? It was already out there at newspaper stands, right? Wasn't the front page. Okay? So the title of that article in the New York Times newspaper was No Regrets for the Love of Explosives, Memoir of Sorts. And a lot of people believe explosive demolitions were used on September 11th, especially when it comes to Building 7 and possibly the Pentagon. Probably in the towers too, just like they tried to take it down. What was it? The Trade Tower bombing? Was that 1998? I can't remember that date. Okay. All right. There was something I was going to look for, but I forgot. Okay. Again, to understand who facilitated and directed the invasion, go to National Democratic Redistricting Committee. Okay. Go back to Organizing for Action. Look at the founders who was behind that, who was basically facilitating and directing the invasion to bring in people into these districts. They needed to basically take over a supermajority in. And the President of the United States is doing his constitutional duty under Article 4, Section 4 by removing all these people, or as many people as he can. That's a priority right now. That's a priority right now. But that shouldn't basically slow down the other investigations that where these people should have already been held accountable, because we've had that evidence. Even Congress has already conducted investigations, right? Subpoenas and all kinds of stuff, congressional investigations. So they already have a lot of that evidence. And a lot of these people, believe me, if the shoe was on the other foot, they'd have probably thousands of people already arrested. You know, we have hindsight, 2020 vision. Refutation of Georgia's Secretary of State. Okay. From Voter GA, go read it. Go read the investigation. We already have this information. Remember? Fulton County. Remember State Farm Arena? We've already seen with our own eyes what happened there. It's ridiculous. Trying to overturn the elections. No, we're trying to put out the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help us, God. Okay, so I was going to look up a source reference. So remember, they call it the Commonwealth. Remember Canadians, they're not sovereign. They're subjects to the crown. Greenland are not sovereign citizens. They're subject to the crown. The Kingdom of Denmark, okay? And they're going to sit there and lecture us after what we went through to get our sovereignty. This is the 250th year anniversary, okay? 250th year anniversary. That's what I was going to talk about. Okay, so the actual this a PDF, the actual source reference for Fulton County Bonnie Willis. Reason why they put her in as Attorney General. Georgia's Secretary of State, wait a minute. It's from VoterGA, voterga.org. Just type in voter space GA for Georgia. Refutation of Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, spelled with a P, not a B. Okay? Raffensperger. VoterGA, it's 18 pages long, the investigation. We already have hindsight perfect vision on that too as well. Okay, so, all right. Now, if you want to learn more about where I'm getting Golden Age of American Silver, I'm going to provide that source reference again. It's under the Wikipedia article Sterling Silver. Okay, remember sterling silver is 925 silver. Fine silver 999 is used to make sterling silver, like trays, silver trays, tea sets, and all kinds of stuff like that, right? So when you get to Wikipedia, sterling silver, scroll down to the silver. Scroll down to history. Okay. Under colonial America between 1634 and 1776, there was like some 500 silversmiths created items in the New World, ranging from simple buckles to ornate Rococo coffee pots. All those silversmiths of this era were typically familiar with all precious metals. They primarily worked in sterling silver. The colonies lacked an assay office until 1814, so I won't go into. Sterling silver consisted of 91.5 through 92.5% by weight of silver and 8.5 to 7.5 weight of copper, stamping each of their pieces with their personal maker's mark. Colonial silversmiths relied upon their own reputation to guarantee the quality and composition of their products. Okay. Now I'm gonna scroll down to the American Revolutionary paragraph, which starts off the American Revolutionary. Paul Revere was regarded as one of the best silversmiths from this golden age of American silver. Okay, so it just went over. I'm going to do a check real quick as far as the silver price now, the spot price. It was $103 when I looked at it earlier. Now that gold is up at 5,040 cents an ounce, okay, silver jumped up, and listen, that's like what, 51 times
like 51's time, what is the percentage of 103 out and 90 cent? Let's just say 104 out of 5,000. I don't have my calculator now. It's like over 50 times more valuable gold than silver is? No, 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 no. Because there's more uses for silver than there actually is gold. By the way, if all the industrial usages for silver, they didn't have silver, basically, think about how the prices would skyrocket, like semiconductors, chips, whatever, solar panels, um, uh, uh, military uh, military requirements, satellites, AI, you name it, batteries, all the all the things that need silver for, right? You're not going to basically use gold when it's $5,000 an ounce to provide the usage for all these like industrial, military, and technology requirements, right? So that's what we just found out that Europe, the EU did. The Europeans basically are going all windmills and batteries to enrich China. They don't even make their own batteries. How foolish is it? Their vendettiness to get back at Trump. They got TDS over there in Europe so bad. They're willing to make their own citizens suffer so they can help take down the president of the United States. You can't make this stuff up. So, people, do your civic duty. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not your financial advisor. But this is going to have to, this ratio of over 50 to 1, 50 to 1. Let's see. Okay, I can do this another way. Hold on a second, real quick, without losing the channel, hopefully.
Okay, I don't know if I lost it. Did y'all hear me lose the audio? How long have I lost the audio? There's only one other person here besides me, I guess. You rewind, go back to the live stream. So hopefully everybody heard me reading off the source references of the golden age of American silver. Okay, you go to sterling silver, Wikipedia, go down, scroll down to the history of it, and go down to the revolutionary Paul Revere, and you'll find the golden age of American silver. Poor man's gold, right? Let me see here how long the audio was gone for, because I had to restart the live stream. Come on now. Go fast forward up to where I was at. Okay, we have to really think about our economic sovereignty for our country. The Greenlanders need to think about that too as well. Remember, each state in our union is a republic. Each state in our union has a capital, it has a senate. Okay. Gotta turn the volume down, stand by. I'm trying to look and see where I lost the audio. Yeah, the actual ratio between gold and silver now is 48 to 1. 48 some change. I think it's 48.07 or something like that. Yeah, as soon as I clicked off of the channel and I went to the ratio, I switched applications and I went to the my calculator. It took down the live stream and I had to refresh. It didn't take it totally down. I had to refresh. So there's about I don't know, a few minutes of lost audio there. That's what happened. I was afraid I was going to do that, but I didn't think about a calculator taking down a live stream, right? She's not using an audio video on the calculator. God, it's crazy. So basically what I did, I went to the Wikipedia article. Okay, you got to go to sterling silver, Wikipedia, go down to the history of that article and scroll down to the revolutionary Paul Revere. And then you'll see the term, the golden age of American silver. Be very, very focused very closely on that and try to understand what's going on right now. Remember, they're trying to restore our economic sovereignty from the crown, from the kingdom, from the Bank of London. Okay? And so what else I wanted to talk about is that in 1835. Now, please, somebody do a Google search on this one as well. 1835 is when, I think it was under Andrew Jackson. And that's the reason why President Trump has a picture of Andrew Jackson. What did Andrew Jackson accomplish in 1835? To be exact, let me see. I hope I don't lose the channel again. Live stream again. And this is one of the reasons why they're trying to remove President Trump from office, eject him, like a military term, out of office, because trillions of dollars are at stake if President Trump restores our sovereignty back to we the people, giving the power back to we the people. That includes our economic sovereignty, our independence, returning our independence back to we the people. That was his promise during even his what do you call that, inauguration speech all the way back to 2017. That's what President Trump promised us, right? And this is part of it. Okay, we have to go back to January 1st. I believe it's 1865. Okay, so when we do this, the the golden age of American silver. This is going back, and far as my understanding, these are hints. U.S. debt clock at 0. I'm pretty sure it was 1865. So what happens when that is determined, that the private banks, central banks, have basically destroyed our sovereignty and basically controlling over half of our government, not only at the federal level, state level, but local level as well. And we come to find out that the money that we're giving them in interest on all the money that our own money that we print out, is paying off other countries' pension plans and all this stuff, right? And that's the reason why the main purpose is for them to eject President Trump out of office, to keep the old guard in place, right? The old guard. It's either 1830. Come on now, where's the article at? I don't want to see just the deck. I'm going to go to all. So when Trump pulls that lever, right, what's going to happen? They find that was unconstitutional. If you can't even, the Congress is supposed to be the one that authorized, I think, the Treasury to mint our coins. And we have no control over the money we even print. So they can print as much as they want to, basically trillions of dollars, and basically make our dollar worth nothing. So what do you have to have? What is the option now if you're in too late for this gold? Really, the only other option I have, the only other hedge right now that I know of, is silver, because of all the requirements for silver in industry, in technology, in AI, computers, telescopes, you name it. Okay, stand by. It's 1830 or 1835. Testing 1, 2. Okay, we're still live. Andrew Jackson. Man, what a great New Year's president. New Year's present. I think it was Andrew Jackson. On January, here it is, it's history.com, right? History.com. I read this the other night. This day in history, January 1st of 2026. No, this article came out, actually, this day in history. That's January 1st of 1835. The U.S. national debt reaches $0 for the first time. On January 1st, 1835, President Andrew Jackson achieves his goal of entirely paying off the United States national debt. It was the only time in U.S. history that the national debt stood at zero, and it precipitated one of the worst financial crises in American history. So now they're trying to put a negative spin on going in debt. You can't make this stuff up. Man, they pay off everybody. I mean, this is ridiculous. Man, I wish I was free of debt now, especially now. As you know, everybody's getting older. The elimination of national debt was both a personal issue for Jackson and the culmination of a political project as old as the nation itself. Since the time of the revolution, American politicians had argued over the wisdom of the nation carrying debt. After independence, the federal government agreed to take on the individual states' war debts as part of the unification of the former colonies. Federalists, those who favored a stronger central government, established a national bank and argued that debt could be a useful way of fueling the new country's economy. Their opponents, most notably Thomas Jefferson, felt these policies favored Northeastern
elites at the expense of rural Americans and saw the debt as a source of national shame. Let me see. Jackson, a populist whose Democrat Party grew out of Jefferson's Democrat Republican Party, had a personal aversion to debt stemming from a land deal that had gone sour for him in his days as a speculator. Okay, I won't read this whole thing, but it's under the History Channel. The title of it, U.S. national debt reaches zero for the first time. So maybe on July 4th of 2026, the U.S. national debt will reach zero for the second time in U.S. history, going all the way back to 1835, repeating Andrew Jackson's feat of zero national debt. And I do believe, but see, you got so many bought. I hate to say it, in my opinion, there's so many bought out. They got a video there on the History Channel. I have to check that out after the live stream. So anyways, that's all the information I have for tonight. Okay, I hope it helps. And thank you for everybody that did listen. A few very small amount of people that did listen to the live stream. And tonight proves again that they are throttling back this channel because, yeah, it's because they can. It's because they can, right? So that said, good morning, good day, good evening, wherever you're from. This concludes the live stream, and God bless. Oh, by the way, if you're new to this channel, please go back and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I appreciate it. Follow me over on Rumble as well. Area 111 on Rumble without the space. Area space 111 on YouTube. Thank you.